Trouble for the Biden family. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer telling the New York Post that President Biden's daughter-in-law, Hallie Biden, is the mysterious new Biden family member that we're hearing about in some of these reports. And she was paid Chinese cash in 2017. Hallie Biden is Beau Biden's widow. She also dated Hunter Biden between 2016 and 2019 when Hunter was conducting a lot of these business deals with China. Comer says these transactions were discovered in subpoenaed financial documents. Bank records show Hallie Biden received $35,000 over 2 transfers in 2017. They were from the Biden family associate Rob Walker, who accepted $3 million on March 1st, 2017. Now, these funds came from State Energy Company, HK Limited, a firm affiliated with another Chinese company. Of course, all these Chinese companies are affiliated with the Communist Party. Now, President Biden, allegedly the big guy, is mentioned in communications about the same energy company, this CEFC, the Chinese energy company. And while in Delaware last weekend, President Biden dined at Hallie Biden's residence. But it's unknown if they ever discussed any looming details. Of course, he says they never talk about this stuff. Comer also wants to know why Hallie got $10,000 from Walker before his $3 million deal with CEFC, the Chinese the Chinese energy firm, and then why the Biden family received over $1 million over a 3-month period from Walker's payments from this Chinese company again. So the money flowing from China to Walker to the Biden family. A memo from the Oversight Committee's majority staff says the bank records raise serious questions for investigators, including why Hallie Biden publicly reported to work as a school counselor, but was also receiving money from Walker's LLC. And who is the holder of that bank account, just entitled Biden? Let's talk about this now with Michigan Congressman Tim Walberg. Congressman, great to have you here.
Good to be with you, John, and happy St. Patty's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, Green Tie Day. We'll have some green beers maybe later, perhaps. But in the meantime, let's talk about Hunter Biden and Hallie Biden now. The plot thickens, doesn't it?
It does thicken, and I think the effect of having true committee hearings and investigations will prove what needed to be proved for quite some time and may have been hidden by the national media who were, to some of our positions, in the tank for making sure that President Biden became president and continued. This is something that ought to concern all Americans. What involvement outside sources, especially countries that are enemies of ours, like Communist China, have in ongoing relationships with the highest office in the land.
Well, this is the White House response to this latest development. They say, quote, instead of bizarrely attacking the president's family, perhaps House Republicans should focus on working with the president to deliver results for American families on important priorities like lowering costs and strengthening health care. So those are the priorities for the last 2 years. It's been green energy and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now they want to work with you guys all of a sudden.
We're all ready to do that. In fact, we've offered a piece of legislation that the president could sign. Shortly, we'll have a budget, a set of 12 bills that he can sign that deal with the burgeoning debt that we have, the deficit of spending, and a way forward in stopping digging the hole that we're digging and move to a place that America can succeed in. So if that's truly what he wants to do, we're delighted to do that. But make sure that you come clean on things that could impact the country in very negative ways.
Yeah, we heard Kevin McCarthy earlier. He did an interview with Breitbart saying, we're not going to pass a clean debt ceiling bill. We're going to hold the line to cut spending. Do you agree with that?
I agree absolutely with that. Sure. I mean, we got to make sure that we don't default. Our nation doesn't do that. But in the process of dealing with the debt ceiling, we need to do reforms, and that includes cuts in spending and setting priorities that moves us in the direction that ultimately we can end the deficit spending and start whacking away at the debt as well.
It is pretty wild that President Biden likes to tell the American people that he's cutting the deficit when we know he threw $7 trillion on this dumpster fire of an economy that he created, making things worse with inflation. The only thing that he's cut is the COVID spending. So anyway, let's move on, because I want to talk about something else Democrats should get on board with, and that is this parental rights bill, the Protect Kids Act. Tell us about it.
Well, the Parental Rights Act is a commitment to America, a position that we had going through the campaigns along with a number of other points. But the Parental Rights Act was to say that parents should have control of their kids. They should be seen as the key responsible agent for their children. They should be seen as the key authority for their children and the accountability factor for their children as well. And government shouldn't treat them like domestic terrorists, as they've been called by some people in the Justice Department, just for going to a school board meeting and questioning some of the policies that were going on, including in the area of transgenderism and sexual exploitation and really grooming kids. And I know that's a term that's out of style and not wanted to be heard by the progressives. But again, when you are trying to change kids from what they have learned in their own family setting and really from what science says, that's a problem, and parents ought to have the control. And my bill, the Protect Kids Act, became a part of this Parental Rights Act as well by putting that in as an amendment in the Education and Workforce Committee's deliberations on the Parental Rights Bill. And that bill would simply say, listen, if you expect to have a permission slip from a parent to take a kid on a field trip, then you ought to get notification to the parents and permission to change any gender pronouns.
Yeah.
Or change.
That's always the thing, right? Why don't the schools want parents to know about this stuff? That's really what I think is very concerning to a lot of parents, the fact they want to keep a lot of this information out of the home and just in the school with the kids. Concerning indeed. And real quickly, Congressman, before you go, what are you strumming back there on that guitar?
I strum anything that people will listen to. And
Spoken
sometimes that's just myself, but Danny Boy was played on that guitar last night.
There you go. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Congressman Tim Walberg. Thanks for being with us.
You as well. Thank you.